Okay, hey Fit Family, so good to be with you today. I'm excited to go over another awesome nutrition video, and we're gonna hammer deep into macros. We've obviously heard your feedback, and we wanna kind of go over some different nutrition topics to really help you with your fitness goals. Make sure you're reaching them and that you know what to do. I think the biggest thing is just knowing a little bit better about what to do and how our body works and what we can do to make sure we perform at peak levels. So today we're going to go over macros, and I'm excited to dive into this topic. We're going to talk about what macros are. We're going to go into how to calculate macros and a little bit maybe how to track macros, okay? So let's get into it. So macros is just another way for you to track food, okay? So calories obviously is one way, and calories is a broader type of unit, right, that measures food or energy, okay? So macros stands for macronutrients, and there's obviously three categories, okay? So calories is great. Macros is, it just dives a little bit into more specific ways to really track your food. So macros, we have carbs, proteins, and fats. Everything we eat actually contains one of those three macros. Okay, so why does our body need those different macros? Well, carbs, obviously we know we get energy from carbs. Protein helps with building muscle, also helps with muscle recovery and maintaining muscle. Fat actually helps us stay satiated, helps us feel full. A lot of our brain functions comes from good healthy fats, okay? So we want to dive into how macros, like exactly what they are and how do we calculate those. So the first thing I want to go over is right here, 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories. So this is really important to know, and this is going to be kind of the base of macros is understanding this. You will be quizzed on this later, so make sure you pay attention, all right? So 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories, okay? 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories, okay? So this is really important to know and kind of how this breaks down. Obviously, 1 gram is not a whole lot, but if you look at any nutrition food label, everything's going to be broken into carbs, protein, and fat. So it is quite easy to track. You just have to look at it and make sure you write it down and figure out what you're eating, right? So that's the baseline of macros and how much calories are for each one. Now that we know that, we are going to go into a ratio. So a lot of times you are going to need to have a good ratio of food. We always want to have a carb, a protein, and fat. Now, there is some good benefit of maybe tapering off carbs when you get at the nighttime so your evening dinner time, also for a snack after you eat dinner. I would stay away from carbs. Okay, we learned about carbs in our other video that carbs are turned into glucose, right? So glucose goes into our bloodstream. If our body doesn't use that energy, basically it's going to store it for later use, okay? So macros, there's a lot of different ways for ratios that works for optimal performance, and it's just based on someone's goals and what they really want to accomplish. So if someone wants to lose fat, they're going to have different types of macros than someone wants to put on muscle, okay? So I'm going to kind of go off a good fat loss ratio for the macros goes, okay? And I'll go into this and how you calculate it and how you figure this all out. So remember, you'll be quizzed on this, so don't forget. So I'm just going to go for a simple percentages. We're going to go 50% carbs. We're going to go 35% protein and 15% fat. Now, like I said, the biggest thing is knowing how your body performs and how you feel when you eat certain different types of foods. I know Heather she does really good at burning carbs. So some other people might be really good at burning protein. They may be really good at burning fat. And so your body does perform optimal with different kind of categories and how much you're getting in each category. Obviously, we need all of them, but there might be one that your body does better at burning or utilizing that energy, okay? So this is just a sample, okay? I'm not saying this is what everybody needs to do. I just want to give you an idea of how this all works. So we're going to go based on just a 1,500 calorie diet. So 1,500 for the day is the amount of calories that someone's going to consume. We're going to break it down, okay? So we're going to break it down based on these ratios. So 50% of 1,500 is actually 750. So if I take 750 calories, so 50% of our calories are coming from carbs, we're going to divide that by 4. Remember, 4 calories for every 1 gram. That's going to give us, so right here, carbs is 750 calories, and that's going to equal 187 grams, okay? 187 grams of carbs. So now we're going to go find out the protein. So protein, we're going to take 1,500 times that by 35%. Hopefully you're really good at math, or have a calculator. This is where the math comes in. So 35% of 1,500 is 525 calories. Okay, so we're going to divide that by 4. Good. Okay, that's 131 grams of protein. All right, then we're going to go to fat. Fat is 1,500 times 0.15 equals 225 calories. We're going to divide that by 9, and that equals 25 grams of fat. So once we have our ratios and we figured out how many grams of each, now we're able to track it, okay? So obviously, depending on how many times you eat. So do you eat 3 times a day? Do you eat 4 times a day? Do you have snacks? You know, how do we figure that out? So just to kind of give you an idea, let's just say we have 3 bigger meals and 1 snack throughout the day. So we're just going to say we eat 4 times. So if we just go 4 times divided by 187 divided by 4, we have about roughly 47 grams of carbs for four times a day, right? 4 meals. If we do that with the protein, we're going to have 131 divided by 4 is roughly 32, a little over, just about 33 grams of protein. And then fat, we can have just a little over 6 grams. So that's based on 4 meals a day. So 4 meals. So this gives you an idea, okay, each meal I got to hit 47 grams of carbs, 33 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat. You can have that 4 times, and then that will get you exactly to where your macros should be, and that is the correct percentage, all right? So that kind of gives you a breakdown. So obviously, this is a more detailed approach than just counting calories. It's a more detailed approach that really fine-tunes, okay, what foods are we eating, how much of which food. So a lot of times, what people aren't aware of, their fat could be the fat could be, 125 grams of fat, and they wouldn't even know it, right? And they're wondering, what's going on? Why am I not losing weight? Or maybe their carbs are through the roof. Maybe they're 300 grams of carbs, and they're like, what's going on? So what this does is it makes you more aware of where you're at and what you should be eating, okay? It really dials it in. So obviously, this all amounts to 1,500 calories a day. Now remember, if we want to if our goal is to lose fat, we have to be at a caloric deficit, okay? So there has to be that gap because our body has to get that energy from somewhere. So if we're burning this many calories, right, and we're only eating this many, our body has to get that energy from somewhere. So it's gonna pull from our fat storages to get that energy because it can't come out of nowhere, right? So that's why eating is so critical, and it's so important to know that we are at that calorie deficit, because that's when our body's going to actually change. That's when our body's going to change. If we eat as many calories as we're burning, that's called maintenance, okay? So this is really, I like this. This really is fun to know, and it's really good to kind of dive in deep to see where you're at. Now, keep in mind, this may be hard to do, and you may not be used to doing it, right? So I would just take one step at a time. Maybe you start with protein, okay? And you're like, okay, based on my protein, I should be getting roughly 130 grams of protein in a day. A lot of this stuff is based on how much you weigh. So someone that weighs more, we're gonna most likely have a little bit more protein. Someone that weighs less needs less, okay? So the thing that you're gonna have to figure out for yourself is actually how many calories a day that you need to be on. Okay, so for women, I would be anywhere probably between 1,200. I wouldn't go anything lower than 1,200. 1,200 to 1,600 to 1,700, okay, is where women need to be at. Men, gonna be a little bit more. So that's a great thing to figure out, but I would just take one step at a time. So protein, if you're like, hey, I need to be about 130 grams of protein a day, just start tracking one thing. Just start tracking protein. And if the next day you're at 90 grams of protein, give yourself a pat on the back, because that's great. Why? Because you're more aware of where you need to be, okay? It's not like, oh, I didn't get to where I needed to be, and it's all, you blew it, you know, you're off the wagon, you know, it's devastation time. No, 90 grams of protein, and you're more aware, like, hey, tomorrow I'm gonna have just a little bit more. So it's being aware of what you're actually consuming, and that's going to help you get to your goals, okay? So once you know protein, if you do it for a week and you're like, okay, gosh, I know how many eggs I need to have, how much chicken breasts, I need to know, you know, a Greek yogurt, like I'm getting used to how much protein I need to be having in the portion sizes, then you can be like, hey, I'm getting used to this, so I'm going to add in carbs or something like that. So add in carbs, start tracking that. Now you can use MyFitnessPal to track carbs or your macros. That's one really great way to do it. It's free. You just go in there. I think you can put in a profile, and use throughout the day. A lot of foods are already in there, but there are also ways to add food, okay? The biggest thing I would do, if you're like, I don't want to mess with MyFitnessPal or an app, you know, just food journal it. You know, just get a journal, write down what foods you're eating, and I'm telling you, just food journaling alone will change your life. It will give you an idea of what you're actually eating, and then you can actually go back and say, okay, did I lose a pound this week? Nope. Okay, well, what was I eating that kind of threw me off? That's the only way to know what you're doing and how to change things, if you can actually record it and see where you're at. So keep a step at a time. Remember, these ratios up here can change. This is a good one, but I would, you know, maybe you want to increase the fat. So maybe you go, you know, just an option is you can go, I'm going to go 40%. Let's just do another one real quick. Just another ratio. So maybe we go, you know what, I'm going to go 40% carbs. I'm going to increase my fat to, you know, 25%. And that gives me, you know, still the same, I think. Yeah, still the same as 35% protein. So you can go 40, 35, 25. So you can kind of just play with it and just see where you like to be at. But if you have any questions, you know, please reach out to us. We would love to help you. There's things we can do, and even help you calculate these ratios for you, so you know exactly what to do. So we have a lot of tools and resources for you. But anyway, I wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into macros, so you have an idea of what it means, how you do it, and you know what's everything behind the craziness, because we all hear about macros and we want to learn a little bit more about it. So this way, hopefully you kind of get an idea of exactly what it is and how it can really apply to you. But macros is just a more detailed way of finding what you eat, okay? And then once you know what your ratios are, and you can calculate these for the day, it just gives you a better idea of making sure that you're getting all those ratios at a good portion, right? At a good amount, good number each day, and get your goals. But obviously this all accounts to calories, and we do need to be at a caloric deficit if your goal is fat loss. So you can do it, take a step at a time. I hope this video helped you. Let me know if you have any other nutrition topics that I'd like to cover. I'm gonna do some more, do at least one a week. So we'll see you in the gym. Have a good day. Keep it going strong.